r/malicious compliance boss stole my college fund, so I exposed his will manipulation. I'm staring at my laptop screen at 2:47 a.m., and the numbers don't lie. My college fund, the one that was supposed to have $23,847 in it for my sophomore year tuition, shows a balance of $312.68. $312. I refresh the page 5 times, hoping it's some kind of banking error, but the cruel reality stays the same. Tomorrow is the final deadline for tuition payment at Northwestern, and I'm about to lose everything I've worked for because the one person I trusted most just destroyed my future. Mr. Richard Pemberton, senior partner at Pemberton & Associates Family Law, the man who hired me as a paralegal assistant 18 months ago when I was a desperate high school senior. The man who promised me that working for his firm would set me up for life and teach me the legal profession from the ground up. The man who convinced my mom to let him manage the special employee college fund that the firm contributed to as part of my benefits package. The same man who apparently saw a naive 19-year-old's college money as his personal piggy bank. I discovered it by accident. I was working late last Friday, filing client documents in Pemberton's office while he was at some fancy charity dinner downtown. His computer was still logged in, something he'd normally never allow, and I needed to print a document for the Morrison estate case. That's when I saw it, a spreadsheet titled Emergency Funds Access, with my name at the top, followed by withdrawal dates and amounts stretching back 6 months. $2,000 withdrawn March 15th, office equipment expenses. $3,500 withdrawn April 22nd. Professional development materials. $4,200 withdrawn May 30th, client entertainment fund. 18 separate withdrawals, each with some bullshit justification that made my stomach turn. But what made me physically sick was seeing other names on that list. Mrs. Eleanor Vasquez, 78 years old, one of his estate planning clients. Mr. Frank Kowalski, 82, whose will I'd helped file just last month. He wasn't just stealing from me. He was stealing from elderly clients who trusted him with their life savings and final wishes. I spent the entire weekend digging deeper, using my access to client files to piece together the horrifying scope of what Pemberton was doing. He'd been systematically manipulating wills, adding himself as a beneficiary or executor, then siphoning funds from estate accounts. The Morrison case I'd been working on. He'd changed Mrs. Morrison's will 3 days before she died, redirecting $45,000 that was supposed to go to her grandchildren into a legal fees account that led straight to his personal banking. My hands are shaking as I scroll through the evidence I've compiled. Bank statements, forged documents, email chains where he discusses managing client expectations about their inheritance payouts. I have screenshots, printed records, and even an audio recording from last Tuesday when he took a phone call about adjusting the Patterson Trust distribution while I was organizing files in his office. The worst part. I looked up to this man. When my dad left 3 years ago and mom was working double shifts at the diner, Pemberton seemed like a guardian angel offering me a path to law school and a real career. He attended my high school graduation. He wrote me a letter of recommendation for Northwestern. He told me I had real potential in the legal field. Now I realize he saw me as just another Mark, young, grateful, and too trusting to ask the right questions about my own money. But Richard Pemberton made one crucial mistake. He taught me how the legal system works, how to research cases, and how to document evidence properly. Time to give him a masterclass in malicious compliance. The first thing I do Monday morning is call in sick. My voice is hoarse from crying and 3 hours of sleep, so it's not hard to sell. Pemberton's assistant, Janet, tells me to feel better soon, honey, in that motherly way that makes my chest tight. She has no idea her boss is a predator. I spend the morning at Northwestern's financial aid office, begging for an extension. The woman behind the desk, Ms. Chen, according to her nameplate, looks genuinely sympathetic as I explain that there's been a banking error with my tuition payment. I can give you until Friday, she says, typing something into her computer. But after that, we'll have to drop you from your fall classes. I'm sorry, but university policy is firm on payment deadlines. 5 days. I have 5 days to either come up with $23,534.32 or watch my future disappear. Walking back to my car, I call the one person who might understand what I'm going through, my mom's cousin Jake, who works as an investigator for the state attorney's office. We're not close, but he's always been straight with me. Emma. Jake sounds surprised. Everything okay? I give him the bare bones, trusted boss, missing college fund, evidence of fraud. I don't mention the elderly clients yet, I need to be strategic about this. Jesus, Em. How much are we talking? Over $23,000 from me alone. But I think it's bigger than that. There's a long pause. You need to be very careful here. If this guy is willing to steal from an employee, there's no telling what else he might do when cornered. Do you have somewhere safe to stay? I hadn't even considered that angle. What do you mean? I mean don't go back to work until we figure this out. And Emma? Don't tell anyone else what you know. Not yet. That afternoon, I drive to the Starbucks across from Pemberton's office and watch through the window. At 2:15 p.m., I see something that makes my blood freeze. Mrs. Vasquez, the 78-year-old from the spreadsheet, walks into the building with a manila folder clutched against her chest. I know that walk. I've seen it dozens of times. She's there to sign something important, probably a will revision. My stomach drops as I realize I might be watching Pemberton set up his next victim in real time. 20 minutes later, she emerges looking confused and upset. Before I can talk myself out of it, I approach her in the parking lot. Mrs. Vasquez. I'm Emma Sullivan, I worked with Mr. Pemberton. Are you alright? She looks at me with watery brown eyes. Oh, dear. I'm not sure I understood everything correctly. Mr. Pemberton said we needed to make some changes to my will because of new tax laws, but it seems so complicated. My heart hammers. What kind of changes? Something about creating a legal fund for administrative costs. He said it was standard now, that all his clients need one. She fumbles with her purse. He said it was just $8,000, nothing to worry about, but that seems like so much money. $8,000. Added to his legal fees, just like Mrs. Morrison. Mrs. Vasquez, I say carefully, did you sign anything today? Well, yes. He said it was urgent because of the tax deadline. She looks at me with growing concern. Why, dear? Did I do something wrong? I want to tell her everything right now, but Jake's warning echoes in my head. Instead, I give her my phone number and tell her to call me if she has any questions about her legal documents. Any questions at all. As I watch her drive away, my phone buzzes with a text from Pemberton. Hope you're feeling better, Emma. We have a lot of important work to catch up on tomorrow. See you bright and early. Not if I see you first, Richard. That evening, I'm spread across my bedroom floor with documents, printouts, and highlighters when my phone rings. It's Mrs. Vasquez. Emma, dear, I hope I'm not bothering you, but I've been thinking about our conversation all day. Her voice sounds shaky. I called my grandson Miguel, he's studying business at DePaul, and told him about the rule changes. He got very upset and said something didn't sound right. I sit up straighter. What did he say? He asked me why I would need to pay legal fees up front when the lawyer already gets paid from the estate. He said that's not how it works. There's a pause. Emma, is Mr. Pemberton stealing from me? The direct question hits like a punch to the gut. I close my eyes and think about Jake's warning, but looking at all this evidence scattered around me, I realize I can't let another elderly person get victimized while I play it safe. Mrs. Vasquez, I think you should bring your grandson with you and demand copies of everything you signed today. Don't let Mr. Pemberton tell you that you can't have them, those are your documents. Oh my goodness. Her breathing sounds rapid. How many other people? Emma, how did you find out? He stole my college fund. Over $23,000. Saying it out loud to someone who understands makes it feel more real, more devastating. That monster. Her voice turns fierce in a way that surprises me. My late husband worked construction for 42 years to build our savings. If that man thinks he can just take what we earned. She trails off, and I hear papers rustling. Emma, I have something you need to know. What? I wasn't Mr. Pemberton's only appointment today. While I was waiting, I saw Mrs. Chin from my church leaving his office. She looked just as confused as I felt. And there was a man in the waiting room, maybe in his 70s, with the same folder they gave me. My stomach drops. He's not slowing down, he's accelerating. Mrs. Vasquez, do you know the other woman's first name? Patricia Chin. She lives on Maple Street, the blue house with the rose garden. I'm already grabbing my laptop. I need to ask you something important, and I need you to think carefully. When you signed those papers today, did Mr. Pemberton have you do it in his office alone, or was there a witness? He said his assistant was busy, so it would just be us. He notarized it himself. She pauses. Why? Because that's fraud, I think, but what I say is, I think we need to gather everyone he's done this to. There's strength in numbers. After I hang up, I spend 2 hours creating what I'm calling my war plan. It's a detailed timeline of every piece of evidence, every victim I can identify, and every law Pemberton has broken. The list is longer than I expected. Embezzlement, my college fund. Elder fraud, Mrs. Vasquez, Mrs. Morrison, others. Forgery, will modifications. Breach of fiduciary duty. Wire fraud, electronic transfers. Notary fraud, self-notarizing documents he benefits from. But as I'm organizing everything, I realize something that makes my blood run cold. I log into the firm's client database using my employee access, something I technically still have until Pemberton fires me, and search for recent will modifications. 12 clients in the past 8 months. 12 elderly people, all with updated estate planning that includes new administrative fee structures ranging from $5,000 to $15,000. The total? $127,000. Plus my $23,500. Pemberton hasn't been running a small-scale scam. He's been running a systematic operation targeting vulnerable elderly clients, and I've been unknowingly helping him by filing the paperwork and managing his schedule. I think about Mrs. Morrison's grandchildren, who probably think their grandmother only left them half of what she actually intended. I think about Mr. Kowalski, whose name was on that spreadsheet. I think about Patricia Chin, confused and walking out of Pemberton's office this afternoon. My phone buzzes, a text from Jake. Emma, I did some digging. Your boss has been flagged by the state bar before, 3 complaints in the past 2 years, all dismissed due to insufficient evidence. You might be the key to a bigger investigation. 3 complaints. Other people tried to expose him and failed. But they didn't have access to his computer files. They didn't have 18 months of inside knowledge about his operations. And they definitely didn't have the detailed evidence I've compiled. I look at the clock, 11:23 p.m. In 8 hours, Pemberton expects me to walk into that office and pretend everything is normal. He has no idea that I've spent the last 3 days building a case that could send him to prison for decades. Tomorrow, I'm going to work. But not for the reasons he thinks. Tomorrow, I start recording everything. Tuesday morning arrives gray and drizzling, matching my mood as I sit in my car outside Pemberton and Associates at 7:45 a.m. My hands won't stop shaking, and I've already checked my recording app 3 times to make sure it's working. The tiny device Jake dropped off last night, state property, so don't lose it, is tucked inside my blazer pocket, virtually invisible. I rehearse my story one more time, food poisoning, feeling much better now, ready to catch up on work. Simple. Believable. Normal. The office smells like Janet's vanilla candle and fresh coffee when I walk in. She looks up from her desk with genuine concern, and the guilt hits me immediately. Emma. Honey, you still look a little pale. Are you sure you should be here? I'm fine, really. Just needed the rest. I manage what I hope passes for a grateful smile. Is Mr. Pemberton in yet? Conference call until 9, then he's got Mrs. Patterson coming in at 10. Janet lowers her voice conspiratorially. Another will revision. That poor woman has been in 3 times this month. I think her children have her all confused about her estate planning. Mrs. Patterson. The name from Pemberton's phone call last week about adjusting the Patterson trust distribution. My chest tightens as I realize I'm about to watch him victimize another elderly client in real time. I settle at my desk and immediately pull up the Patterson file. Dorothy Patterson, 81, widow, estate valued at approximately $340,000. Her original will from 6 months ago left everything split between her 2 daughters and a local animal shelter. But the revision from 3 weeks ago shows a new estate management fee of $12,000 and something called an administrative trust fund worth $8,500. $20,000 that wasn't in her original wishes. At 9:15, Pemberton emerges from his office looking impeccable as always, crisp navy suit, silver tie, that practiced smile that once made me feel safe and valued. Now it makes my skin crawl. Emma. Wonderful to have you back. I trust you're fully recovered. Yes, sir. Much better. I keep my voice steady, professional. I saw Mrs. Patterson is coming in this morning. Should I prepare anything specific? Just her file. We're making some final adjustments to ensure her estate planning is optimized for tax efficiency. The lie rolls off his tongue so smoothly I almost admire the craftsmanship. Actually, I'd like you to sit in on the meeting. Take notes. It'll be good experience for you. My heart hammers against my ribs. He wants me to witness the fraud. To be complicit in it. Of course, I hear myself saying. I'd appreciate the learning opportunity. At exactly 10 a.m., Mrs. Patterson arrives. She's tiny and birdlike, with carefully styled white hair and a purse clutched in both hands. When she speaks, her voice has the slight tremor of someone trying very hard to appear more confident than she feels. Mr. Pemberton, I hope this is truly the last time we need to modify Mother's arrangements. My daughters keep asking questions, and I'm running out of answers. Mother's arrangements. My blood freezes as I realize Mrs. Patterson isn't just a client, she's the executor of her deceased mother's estate. Pemberton isn't just stealing from living elderly people, he's stealing from the dead. Of course, Dorothy. This is simply a formality to ensure everything is properly structured. Emma here will be taking notes, purely for our records. I click my pen and position my notebook, but my real focus is on the recording device capturing every word. Mrs. Patterson looks at me with kind, confused eyes. I just don't understand why mothers will need so many changes. She was very specific about her wishes when she was alive. Pemberton's smile never wavers. Estate law has evolved significantly, Dorothy. These adjustments ensure your mother's legacy is protected and properly managed. The administrative fees we discussed are standard practice now. But $15,000 seems like such a large amount. $15,000. Not the $20,500 I saw in the file, he's increased it again. I understand your concern, but remember, this protects the remaining $280,000 from potential legal complications down the line. He slides a document across his desk. This revision simply formalizes what we discussed last week. Mrs. Patterson picks up the paper with shaking hands, and I watch her face crumble with confusion. I'm sorry, Mr. Pemberton, but I don't recall discussing any changes last week. I thought we were finished with Mother's estate in February. The temperature in the room seems to drop 10 degrees. Pemberton's smile tightens almost imperceptibly, a tell I've learned to recognize over 18 months of working for him. Of course you remember, Dorothy. We spoke about the new federal regulations that require additional administrative oversight for estates over $250,000. His voice carries just a hint of condescension. Perhaps the stress of managing your mother's affairs is affecting your memory. That's perfectly normal. I watch Mrs. Patterson's face flush with embarrassment and self-doubt. This is his method, make them question themselves, make them feel foolish for asking questions. I've seen him use this technique with opposing counsel, but watching him gaslight an 81-year-old woman makes me physically sick. Perhaps you're right. It has been overwhelming. Of course it has. That's why you need my expertise. Pemberton produces a pen and places it next to the document. This revision will give you peace of mind knowing everything is handled properly. Mrs. Patterson reaches for the pen, and I realize I'm about to watch a crime happen in real time. Every instinct screams at me to stop this, to speak up, to protect this confused elderly woman from being robbed. But then I think about the bigger picture, the 12 other victims, the systematic nature of his fraud, the complaints that were dismissed for lack of evidence. If I blow my cover now, I might save Mrs. Patterson but lose the chance to stop him permanently. So I sit silently, taking notes that feel like daggers in my chest, and watch Richard Pemberton steal $15,000 from a dead woman's estate while her daughter apologizes for questioning him. The recording device in my pocket captures every word. After Mrs. Patterson leaves, clutching her copy of the fraudulent will revision with trembling hands, I excuse myself to the bathroom and barely make it to the stall before I throw up. The bile burns my throat, but it's nothing compared to the acid eating away at my conscience. I just watched a crime happen. I sat there, took notes, and smiled politely while Pemberton stole $15,000 from a dead woman's children. When I return to my desk, there's a sticky note waiting for me. Emma, please prepare the Henderson estate documents for 2 p.m. appointment. R.P. Henderson. I know that name. I pull up the file with shaking fingers, and my worst fears are confirmed. Margaret Henderson, 79 years old, passed away last month. Her son David has been working with Pemberton to settle her estate. According to the original documents I filed 6 weeks ago, Mrs. Henderson left her $180,000 estate split equally between David and his sister Rachel, who lives in Oregon. But the document I'm looking at now tells a different story. There's a discovery of additional administrative obligations totaling $18,000 and a mysterious reduction in Rachel's inheritance from $90,000 to $72,000. David's portion remains the same. My hands freeze over the keyboard as the implications hit me. Pemberton isn't just stealing money, he's pitting family members against each other. David probably thinks his sister is getting her fair share while Pemberton pockets the difference. Rachel probably thinks her mother changed her mind about the inheritance. Neither of them knows they're being robbed. At 1:45 p.m., David Henderson arrives. He's maybe 50, wearing a rumpled work shirt and the exhausted expression of someone who's been dealing with grief and paperwork for weeks. When Pemberton greets him, David's relief is obvious. Mr. Pemberton, thank you for handling all of this. I honestly don't know how I would have managed Mom's affairs without your help. That's what I'm here for, David. Losing a parent is difficult enough without worrying about legal complications. They disappear into Pemberton's office, and I strain to hear through the closed door. My recording device is still active, but I doubt it can pick up muffled conversation from 20 feet away. 15 minutes later, Pemberton's voice rises slightly. I'm afraid there was an error in our initial assessment. Your mother had some outstanding obligations we've just discovered. I can't hear David's response, but I can imagine his confusion and worry. At 2:15, they emerge. David looks shell-shocked as he shakes Pemberton's hand. I can't believe Mom didn't tell me about the tax liability. Rachel's going to be devastated when I explain why her portion is smaller than we thought. These things happen, David. Your mother was trying to protect you from financial stress during her illness. The important thing is that we've resolved everything properly. After David leaves, I watch Pemberton return to his office with the satisfied expression of someone who's just had a very profitable day. $30,000 in 2 meetings. Mrs. Patterson's $15,000, plus David Henderson's $18,000, minus whatever amount Rachel Henderson will never know she was supposed to inherit. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Emma, this is Miguel Vasquez, Mrs. Vasquez's grandson. Abuela told me you're helping her with a legal problem. Can we meet? I have information you need to see. I glance toward Pemberton's office, then quickly type back, yes. When and where? Tonight 7 p.m., Riverside Coffee on Main Street. I'll be wearing a Northwestern sweatshirt. Northwestern. My chest tightens as I remember the tuition deadline creeping closer. 3 days left, and I'm no closer to getting my money back. But if Miguel has information that could strengthen the case. The rest of the afternoon crawls by. Pemberton stays locked in his office, presumably moving stolen money around or planning his next victim. I organize files, answer phones, and maintain the facade of normalcy while my recording device captures the ambient sounds of a criminal enterprise disguised as a respectable law firm. At 4:30, Janet starts packing up her desk. Emma, honey, you've been so quiet today. Still feeling under the weather? Just tired, I manage. Long day catching up. After she leaves, it's just Pemberton and me in the office. The silence feels heavy, dangerous. Every creak of the building makes me jump, every shadow in my peripheral vision could be him approaching my desk. At 5:15, his office door opens. Emma, could you come in here for a moment? There's something we need to discuss. My blood turns to ice. Has he figured out what I know? Did he notice me accessing client files I shouldn't have seen? I save my work with trembling fingers and walk toward his office, each step feeling like a march toward execution. Pemberton's office feels like a trap as I settle into the chair across from his mahogany desk. The late afternoon sun streams through his window, casting long shadows that make his practiced smile look predatory. My recording device feels like it's burning a hole through my blazer. Emma, I want to talk to you about your future here at the firm. He leans back in his leather chair, fingers steepled. You've shown remarkable dedication over the past 18 months. Remarkable attention to detail. The way he emphasizes those last words makes my skin crawl. Does he know? Thank you, sir. I've learned a lot working here. I'm sure you have. His eyes narrow slightly. In fact, I've been thinking about expanding your responsibilities. Perhaps giving you access to more sensitive client matters. More financial oversight. My stomach drops. He's not suspicious, he's recruiting me. He wants to make me a full partner in his criminal operation. That's very generous, Mr. Pemberton. Richard, please. I think we're past formalities at this point. He opens his desk drawer and pulls out a manila folder. I have a proposition for you. As you know, college is expensive. Northwestern's tuition alone must be quite a burden for someone in your financial situation. The casual cruelty of the statement takes my breath away. He's sitting there, having stolen every penny of my college fund, talking about my financial situation like he had nothing to do with creating it. It is challenging, I managed to say. What if I told you that challenge could disappear entirely? That you could graduate debt-free, with a guaranteed position at one of Chicago's premier law firms? He slides the folder across the desk. All you need to do is continue the excellent work you've already been doing. Filing documents, managing client appointments, maintaining confidentiality. I open the folder with shaking hands. Inside is a contract titled Senior Paralegal Agreement with my name already filled in. The salary listed is $65,000 annually, more than double what I'm making now. There are clauses about discretionary bonuses and client appreciation funds and something called estate administration fees sharing. He's offering me a cut of his stolen money. This is very generous, I repeat, buying time while my mind races. Emma, you're smart. Smarter than most of the attorneys I've worked with over the years. You understand that estate law can be fluid. Subjective. Elderly clients often change their minds about bequests, and sometimes they need guidance about what's truly in their best interests. What do you mean? Take Mrs. Patterson today. She was genuinely confused about her mother's estate planning. Without proper guidance, she might have made decisions that would have cost her family thousands in unnecessary taxes and fees. By helping her understand the administrative requirements, we saved her considerable expense in the long run. The gaslighting is so smooth, so practiced, that for a split second I almost believe him. Then I remember Mrs. Patterson's confused face, her trembling hands, the way she apologized for questioning him. I see, I say carefully. Do you? Because I think you see more than most people realize. His smile turns colder. For instance, I think you see that sometimes protecting our clients means making difficult decisions on their behalf. Decisions that ensure their estates are managed efficiently and their families aren't burdened with complicated financial arrangements. My recording device is capturing every word of this confession disguised as a job offer. Mr. Pember, Richard, I'm honored that you consider me for this position. Can I have some time to think about it? Of course. But Emma? He leans forward, and for the first time since I've known him, his mask slips completely. His eyes are cold, calculating, predatory. I hope you understand that certain opportunities only come along once. And certain knowledge, well, it creates obligations. Mutual obligations. The threat is crystal clear. Accept his offer to become complicit in his crimes, or face the consequences of knowing too much. I stand up on unsteady legs, clutching the contract. I understand completely. Excellent. Take the evening to consider it. We can discuss the details tomorrow morning. His smile returns, but it doesn't reach his eyes. And Emma? I trust this conversation will remain between us. Attorney-client privilege and all that. Walking back to my desk feels like crossing a minefield. Every step could trigger an explosion that destroys everything. I gather my things with forced casualness, acutely aware of Pemberton watching me through his office window. Have a good evening, Richard, I call out, my voice somehow steady. You too, Emma. Sweet dreams. The parking lot has never felt so welcoming. I sit in my car for 5 minutes before my hands stop shaking enough to start the engine. As I drive toward Riverside Coffee, 3 things are painfully clear. Richard Pemberton knows I'm a threat. He's trying to buy my silence and my complicity with stolen money. And if I refuse his offer tomorrow morning, I might not live to see my college fund returned. But Miguel Vasquez is waiting with information that could change everything. Miguel Vasquez is exactly where he said he'd be, corner table at Riverside Coffee, Northwestern sweatshirt, and a laptop open in front of him. But he's not alone. There's a woman next to him, maybe 60, with steel gray hair and the kind of sharp eyes that suggest she doesn't miss much. Emma. Miguel stands as I approach. He's tall, probably my age, with the exhausted look of someone who's been losing sleep over family problems. This is my Aunt Carmen. She's a CPA. Carmen extends her hand with a firm grip. Miguel told me what you think is happening to his grandmother. I've been looking into Mr. Pemberton's financial patterns. My pulse quickens. What kind of patterns? The kind that suggest your boss has been very busy. She opens a manila folder thick with documents. Miguel asked me to review his grandmother's recent financial statements. What I found was concerning. She spreads out bank statements, highlighting various transactions in yellow. Mrs. Vasquez has had 6 withdrawals from her savings account over the past 4 months, totaling $23,000. Each withdrawal happened within 24 hours of meeting with Mr. Pemberton. But the will revision today was only supposed to be $8,000, I say. Exactly. Carmen's finger traces a line of highlighted charges. Which means he's been stealing from her incrementally, probably testing to see how much he could take before she noticed. Miguel leans forward, anger radiating from every muscle. Abuela trusted that bastard completely. She even invited him to my cousin's wedding last month because she thought he was such a nice man who cares about elderly people. The wedding detail hits me like a physical blow. Pemberton attending family celebrations, building personal relationships with his victims, making them trust him completely before he robbed them blind. There's more, Carmen continues. I called a friend who works in estate administration. She ran some informal checks on recent probate filings from Pemberton's firm. In the past year, there have been 17 estates processed through his office. Of those, 12 had administrative fee adjustments made after the initial filing. 17. I knew about 12 from my database search, but I'd missed 5. How much total? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know. Conservatively. Around $180,000 in questionable fees and redistributions. But that's only what we can track through public records. My head spins. Between the elderly clients, the estate manipulations, and my college fund, Pemberton has stolen over $200,000 that we know about. Emma, Miguel says quietly, Carmen thinks there might be a way to stop him, but it's risky. Carmen nods grimly. The state attorney's office has been building a case against estate fraud for 2 years, but they need inside evidence. Real documentation, not just suspicious patterns. What kind of documentation? Client files showing before and after versions of wills. Bank records proving the money went to him instead of beneficiaries. Internal communications discussing the fraudulent changes. She looks at me intently. The kind of thing only someone with inside access could provide. My mouth goes dry. You want me to steal files from his office? I want you to preserve evidence of crimes before he destroys it, Carmen corrects. There's a difference. Is there? Because if I get caught. If you get caught, you're probably dead, Miguel interrupts bluntly. Emma, this guy has stolen over $200,000. People have killed for a lot less. The weight of what they're asking settles on my shoulders. Go back into that office tomorrow, knowing Pemberton suspects me, knowing he's made veiled threats about mutual obligations, and somehow copy enough evidence to destroy him before he destroys me. There's something else, I say finally, and tell them about today's conversation with Pemberton. The job offer, the implied threats, the contract sitting in my car that's essentially an invitation to become his partner in crime. Carmen's expression darkens. He's cornering you. Accept his offer and become complicit, or refuse and become a liability. Either way, I can't just walk away now. No, Miguel agrees. But maybe we can make sure he's the one who doesn't walk away. Carmen slides a business card across the table. This is my contact at the state attorney's office. She's been waiting for a break in the estate fraud case for 18 months. I stare at the card, Detective Sarah Martinez, Financial Crimes Division. Emma, Carmen says gently, I know this is terrifying. But think about Mrs. Patterson this morning, and my mother-in-law, and all the other elderly people he's going to victimize if someone doesn't stop him. My phone buzzes with a text from Pemberton. Emma, I hope you're having a restful evening. Looking forward to your answer tomorrow. Sweet dreams. The casual menace in those 2 words, sweet dreams, makes my decision for me. Okay, I hear myself saying. Tell me what I need to do. Detective Sarah Martinez looks exactly like someone who's spent years dealing with financial predators, sharp suit, sharper eyes, and a kind of controlled intensity that suggests she's seen enough human ugliness to last several lifetimes. We're meeting at a 24-hour diner 40 miles outside the city, far from anywhere Pemberton might accidentally spot us. Carmen filled me in on the basics, Martinez says, sliding into the booth across from me. But I need to understand exactly what evidence you can access and how much risk you're willing to take. I spread out everything I've compiled, printouts, bank statements, my detailed timeline of Pemberton's crimes. Martinez studies each document with the focused attention of someone building a case. This is good work, she says finally. Better than most trained investigators manage. But here's the problem, everything you've shown me is either circumstantial or obtained through questionable means. A defense attorney would shred this in court. My heart sinks. So it's not enough. It's not enough to convict. But it might be enough to get a warrant if we can corroborate it with insider testimony and additional evidence. She leans forward. Tell me about tomorrow. This contract he wants you to sign. I explain Pemberton's offer, the veiled threats, the impossible choice between complicity and danger. Martinez takes notes in shorthand that looks like secret code. He's escalating because he feels pressured, she says. My guess. Someone else has started asking questions, or he's planning something big that requires your silence. What kind of something big? Major estate liquidation, maybe. Or he's getting ready to disappear. Martinez closes her notebook. Either way, we need to move fast. I can have surveillance on his office by tomorrow afternoon, but I need you to get me 3 specific things first. She slides a piece of paper across the table with a handwritten list. 1. Original will documents showing before/after changes. 2. Bank routing information for his personal accounts. 3. Client contact list with phone numbers. The first 2 give us proof of fraud. The third lets us contact victims directly instead of waiting for them to come forward. I stare at the list, my hands shaking slightly. He keeps the original wills in a locked filing cabinet in his office. I don't have access to that. Where does he keep the key? I don't know. I've never seen him open it. Martinez exchanges a look with Carmen that I can't interpret. Emma, I need you to understand something. If you do this, there's no going back. Once we move on Pemberton, he'll know exactly who provided the evidence. Meaning you'll need protection. Witness protection, potentially, if his operation is bigger than we think. Witness protection. A new identity, leaving Northwestern, leaving everything I've worked for behind. The irony is crushing, even if I stop Pemberton from stealing my future, I might lose it anyway. There's something else, Martinez continues. We ran some preliminary background checks after Carmen called. Richard Pemberton has connections we didn't expect. What kind of connections? His brother-in-law is a Cook County judge. His college roommate works for the State Bar Association. His country club golf partner is a city councilman. She meets my eyes. This isn't just about estate fraud, Emma. This is about a network of corruption that goes way deeper than one crooked lawyer. The diner suddenly feels too small, too exposed. I think about Pemberton's confident smile, his casual dismissal of the elderly client's concerns, his certainty that he could operate with impunity. How many people has he bought? I whisper. That's what we need to find out. Martinez checks her watch. You have 12 hours before you need to give him an answer about that contract. Can you get me those 3 items by noon? I think about the locked filing cabinet, Pemberton's suspicious behavior, the surveillance cameras I never paid attention to before. Every instinct screams that this is suicide. Then I think about Mrs. Patterson's trembling hands and Mrs. Vasquez's life savings disappearing $3,000 at a time. I'll find a way. Wednesday morning arrives cold and gray, and I'm sitting in my car outside Pemberton and Associates at 6:30 a.m., an hour before anyone else arrives. My hands won't stop shaking as I review Martinez's list one more time. 3 items. 3 pieces of evidence that could destroy Pemberton's entire operation, if I can get them without getting caught. The parking lot is empty except for the security guard's car. I know from 18 months of working here that he does his rounds every hour on the hour, which gives me a predictable window. What I didn't know until Carmen's research last night is that the building's security cameras record to a central server that automatically deletes footage after 72 hours unless there's an incident report. No incident report means no permanent record of me being here early. I use my key card to enter through the side door, my heart hammering so loud I'm convinced it'll trigger some kind of alarm. The office feels different in the pre-dawn darkness, larger, more menacing, full of shadows that could hide anything. Pemberton's office door is locked, but I've watched him unlock it hundreds of times. He thinks he's subtle about shielding the keypad, but from my desk angle, I've memorized the sequence, 8-2-7-4. The same numbers as his late mother's birthday, which he mentioned during my first week in a rare moment of personal disclosure. The lock clicks open. Inside his office, everything is exactly as he left it, too perfect, too controlled. I head straight for the locked filing cabinet behind his desk, my phone's flashlight casting eerie shadows across the wall. The cabinet is older than the electronic lock on his door, secured with a traditional key lock that looks like it hasn't been changed in decades. I start searching systematically. Desk drawers, picture frames, the small potted plant on his windowsill, anywhere someone might hide a key. Nothing. 5 minutes pass, then 10. The security guard will make his rounds at 7 a.m., and I need to be gone before then. Then I notice something odd about his law degree hanging behind the desk. The frame sits slightly crooked, like it's been moved recently. I lift it carefully and find a small magnetic key holder attached to the back. The filing cabinet opens with a soft click that sounds like thunder in the silent office. Inside, hanging files are organized by year and client name. I grab my phone and start photographing everything, focusing on files that show multiple dates, the ones where wills have been revised. Mrs. Morrison's file is thick with documents, and I can see the original will clearly designating her grandchildren as primary beneficiaries, followed by 3 subsequent revisions that gradually redirect portions of her estate to administrative costs and legal fees. The pattern is identical across every file. Original wills with straightforward beneficiary distributions, then careful modifications that siphon money into accounts Pemberton controls. The amounts vary, $8,000 here, $15,000 there, but always calibrated to seem reasonable while being financially devastating to the families. I'm photographing the Patterson file when I hear something that makes my blood freeze, the electronic beep of the side door opening. Someone else is here. I quickly close the filing cabinet, pocket the key, and kill my phone's flashlight. Heavy footsteps echo in the hallway, too heavy to be Janet, too early to be any of the junior attorneys. My mind races through possibilities as I hear whoever it is moving through the office, opening doors, checking rooms. The footsteps stop right outside Pemberton's office. I'm trapped behind his desk with nowhere to run and no reasonable explanation for being here. The doorknob turns slowly, and I press myself against the filing cabinet, praying the shadows will hide me. Well, Pemberton's voice cuts through the darkness like ice. I thought I might find you here, Emma. The lights click on, and I'm staring at my boss, my target, my potential killer, standing in the doorway with a smile that promises nothing good. We need to talk. Pemberton steps into his office and closes the door behind him with a soft click that sounds like a death sentence. He's not wearing his usual pristine suit. Instead, he's in dark jeans and a black sweater, like someone who planned to do dirty work this morning. I have to admit, Emma, I'm impressed. He moves to his desk chair but doesn't sit, keeping himself between me and the only exit. When I saw your car in the parking lot at 6:45, I thought maybe you were just eager to give me your answer about the contract. But this. He gestures toward the filing cabinet. This shows real initiative. My throat feels like sandpaper. Mr. Pemberton, I can explain. Can you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my trusted employee is photographing confidential client files. His tone is conversational, almost amused, which somehow makes it more terrifying. The question is, who are you working with? The recording device in my blazer feels like a burning coal against my ribs. If he searches me and finds it, any evidence I've gathered becomes worthless. I'm not working with anyone. I needed to understand what happened to my college fund. Your college fund. Pemberton laughs, a sound devoid of any warmth. Emma, your college fund was an investment. An investment in keeping you loyal, keeping you quiet, keeping you exactly where I needed you to be. You stole from me. I managed resources strategically. He pulls out his phone and starts typing something. Just like I manage all the firm's resources. The difference is that most people are smart enough to appreciate the opportunities one provides instead of biting the hand that feeds them. A text notification pings from somewhere in the office. Then another. He's contacting someone, or multiple someones. Who are you texting? I demand, desperation making me bold. Associates. People who help me solve problems when employees become unreliable. His smile turns predatory. You see, Emma, I've been in this business for 23 years. I've learned that certain situations require immediate attention before they spiral out of control. My blood turns to ice. You're going to kill me. Kill you? God, no. That would be far too messy and complicated. He sits down now, completely relaxed. I'm simply going to provide you with a different set of choices than the ones we discussed yesterday. What kind of choices? Well, first, you're going to delete every photo you just took from your phone. Then you're going to sign that contract I offered you, the one that makes you a partner in this operation, with all the legal protections and financial benefits that entails. And if I refuse? Pemberton opens his desk drawer and pulls out a manila folder I've never seen before. Then your mother loses her job at the diner. Your cousin Jake gets investigated for corruption, something about taking bribes from suspects, I believe. And you get arrested for embezzling client funds. The folder slides across his desk toward me. Inside are bank statements showing transfers from client accounts to an account with my name on it, an account I've never seen before but that apparently received $47,000 over the past 6 months. That's impossible. I never opened that account. Of course you didn't. But try explaining that to a jury when they see your forged signature on all the deposit slips. His phone pings again. My associates are very good at creating compelling evidence, Emma. Almost as good as they are at making people disappear when necessary. The manufactured evidence is perfect, dates, amounts, even what looks like my handwriting on withdrawal forms. Someone spent serious time and money creating an entire fake financial trail that would destroy my life and credibility if it ever went to court. You planned this from the beginning, I whisper. The college fund, the job, making me trust you, it was all a setup. Not initially. You were just supposed to be cheap labor with a convenient legal exemption as a student employee. He checks his watch. But when you showed real aptitude for financial document management, I realized you could be much more useful as a controlled partner than a potential threat. A controlled partner. A prisoner with benefits. How many other people are you doing this to? Right now. Including you, I have 4 junior associates in similar arrangements across 3 law firms. It's remarkably efficient, young, ambitious people who value their futures enough to make pragmatic choices about loyalty. 4 other people trapped in the same web, probably believing they're the only ones, probably too terrified to seek help. The scope of Pemberton's operation is staggering. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number, building surrounded. Stay calm. Keep him talking. SM. Detective Martinez. Somehow, they tracked me here. Pemberton notices my phone lighting up and his expression hardens. Who is that, Emma? Nobody. Probably just spam. Show me. The command carries the weight of absolute authority. I realize that this is the moment everything changes, cooperate and maybe live long enough for Martinez to reach me, or resist and find out exactly how far Pemberton is willing to go to protect his empire. I hand him my phone, and watch his face transform into something inhuman as he reads Martinez's message. You stupid, stupid girl, he whispers, and I know I'm about to find out just how dangerous a cornered predator can be. Pemberton's face goes from predatory confidence to pure rage in the span of 3 seconds. He hurls my phone across the office where it shatters against the wall, plastic fragments scattering across his pristine carpet. Detective Sarah Martinez, Financial Crimes Division, he reads from the broken screen, his voice deadly quiet. How long have you been feeding information to the state attorney's office, Emma? Before I can answer, his desk phone rings. Once, twice, then stops. Then his cell phone buzzes. He glances at it and his jaw tightens. Building surrounded, he mutters, more to himself than to me. Fucking brilliant. I press myself harder against the filing cabinet as he starts pacing behind his desk like a caged animal. The casual, controlled demeanor is completely gone now, replaced by something desperate and dangerous. Here's what's going to happen, he says, pulling out a second phone I've never seen before. You're going to call Detective Martinez and tell her this was all a misunderstanding. That you made up the fraud allegations because you were upset about your college fund being used for legitimate business expenses. She'll never believe that. She'll believe it when you're crying and begging her forgiveness for wasting police resources. His fingers fly across the burner phone's keyboard. My associates are already in motion, Emma. Your mother's shift at the diner ends at 3 p.m. today. It would be tragic if she had an accident in the parking lot because her daughter couldn't follow simple instructions. The threat against my mom hits like a physical blow. You wouldn't. I've spent 23 years building this operation. I own judges, city councilmen, 3 state bar association members, and half the probate court clerks in Cook County. You think I won't eliminate one waitress and her troublemaking daughter to protect that investment? Outside, I hear the faint sound of car doors slamming. Martinez is back up arriving, probably. But Pemberton doesn't seem worried. He seems like someone playing a game where he still holds all the winning cards. The beautiful thing about corruption, Emma, is that it's like a spiderweb. Touch one strand and the whole thing vibrates. Detective Martinez thinks she's investigating simple estate fraud, but she has no idea how many powerful people have financial incentives to make sure this case disappears. He opens his desk drawer again and pulls out what looks like an insurance policy document. Patricia Morrison's granddaughter, the one who should have inherited $45,000 from her grandmother's estate. She died in a car accident 6 weeks ago. Brake failure on the Dan Ryan Expressway. His smile returns, cold and satisfied. Such a shame. Now there's no one left to contest the will modifications. My stomach lurches. You killed her. I didn't kill anyone. I simply ensured that potential complications resolved themselves efficiently. He checks his watch again. Just like David Patterson's sister Rachel will resolve herself if she keeps asking questions about her mother's estate from Oregon. Rachel Patterson. The daughter who doesn't know her inheritance was stolen, who probably thinks her mother changed her mind about loving her equally. If she's been calling Pemberton asking questions. You're going to kill her too. Only if necessary. These things are expensive and complicated, Emma. Much easier when people simply accept their situations and move on with their lives. He slides a pen across his desk toward me. Sign the contract. Make the phone call. Save your mother's life and your own future. The contract sits between us like a poisonous snake. Partnership in a criminal enterprise that's already killed at least one person, with the promise of more deaths if I don't comply. But signing it means becoming complicit in the murder of Patricia Morrison and the systematic theft from dozens of elderly victims. Outside, I hear what sounds like a megaphone, someone with a bullhorn giving commands I can't quite make out through the windows. Pemberton hears it too and his expression shifts to something almost amused. They think they're rescuing you, don't they? They have no idea that half the responding officers are on my payroll, and the other half will be following orders from supervisors who are. He pulls out a business card and slides it next to the contract. Judge William Kowalski, Cook County Probate Court. He's processed every fraudulent estate revision I've filed for the past 18 months. His retirement account has grown quite substantially during that time. Judge Kowalski. The same last name as Frank Kowalski, the 82-year-old client whose name was on Pemberton's theft spreadsheet. His father, I whisper, the pieces clicking together. His father, whose estate conveniently required extensive legal fees that helped fund the judge's very comfortable lifestyle. Family business, you might say. The corruption runs through entire families, entire institutions. Even if Martinez arrests Pemberton today, the network of judges and officials he's bought will ensure the case disappears into legal purgatory. My recording device is still running, capturing every confession, every threat, every admission of murder and bribery. But what good is evidence when the entire system is designed to ignore it? The megaphone outside gets louder, and I catch fragments. Building is surrounded. Come out with your hands. Pemberton laughs and picks up his desk phone. Let me show you how this really works, Emma. He dials a number from memory. Bill. It's Richard. Yes, I know about the police situation. Can you handle Detective Martinez for me? The usual arrangement. Excellent. And Bill? Make sure the young lady understands that cooperation is in everyone's best interest. He hangs up and looks at me with triumphant satisfaction. Detective Martinez just received a direct order from her captain to stand down and release you into my custody for questioning. Corruption is beautiful in its simplicity, don't you think? Outside, the voices fade as the police apparently retreat, leaving me alone with a predator who owns the entire system. The silence outside is deafening. Martinez's team has actually retreated, leaving me trapped with a man who just casually ordered the murder of anyone who threatens his operation. Pemberton settles back in his chair with the satisfied expression of someone who's just won a chess game in 4 moves. You're starting to understand the scope of what you've stumbled into, he says, straightening his tie with deliberate precision. 23 years, Emma. That's how long I've been building relationships, creating dependencies, establishing mutual benefits with the right people in the right positions. I stare at the contract on his desk, the pen lying next to it like an instrument of surrender. How many people have you killed? Killed. Such a crude word. He opens his laptop and begins typing something. I prefer to think of it as risk management. Patricia Morrison's granddaughter was asking very specific questions about will revisions. She had hired her own attorney and was threatening to file complaints with the state bar. That situation required resolution. The casual tone makes my skin crawl. He's describing murder like it's a business decision. And now you're planning to do the same thing to Rachel Patterson. Only if she continues to be problematic. Right now, she's simply a concerned daughter asking reasonable questions from Oregon. Manageable. He turns his laptop screen toward me. But this email she sent yesterday changes things considerably. The screen shows an email thread between Rachel Patterson and someone named Attorney James Holbrook in Portland. The subject line reads, requesting investigation of estate fraud, urgent. She's hired a lawyer, I breathe. She's hired a very good lawyer who specializes in elder fraud cases. Mr. Holbrook has already submitted preliminary inquiries to the Illinois State Bar Association. Pemberton's fingers drum against his desk. He's also contacted the FBI's white-collar crime division about potential interstate fraud. FBI. The word hangs in the air like a death sentence, not for me, but for Pemberton's entire operation. No wonder he's escalating so rapidly. Which brings us to our current situation, he continues. I have perhaps 72 hours before federal investigators start requesting documents that will be very difficult to explain. That means tying up loose ends with extreme efficiency. He picks up his burner phone again and scrolls through what looks like a contact list. Mrs. Vasquez and her grandson Miguel have become quite vocal about their concerns. Mrs. Chen from Maple Street has started asking her church friends if they've had similar experiences with estate planning. David Henderson called yesterday wanting to know why his sister's inheritance was smaller than originally discussed. Each name hits like a physical blow. These aren't just victims anymore, they're witnesses who could destroy Pemberton's network if they testify together. You're going to kill them all. I'm going to resolve multiple liability issues before they become insurmountable problems. He stands and walks to the window, peering through the blinds at the empty parking lot below. The beauty of elderly victims is that they often have pre-existing health conditions. Heart attacks, strokes, medication complications, these things happen naturally all the time. My recording device feels like it's burning through my blazer. Every confession he's making would be enough to convict him 10 times over, but only if someone survives to present the evidence. Sign the contract, Emma. His voice carries absolute finality. Become my partner, share in the profits, and help me transition this operation to a more sustainable model. Or watch everyone you've tried to protect disappear one by one, starting with your mother at 3:17 p.m. when she walks to her car after her shift. He checks his watch, 11:43 a.m. Less than 4 hours. I need to make a phone call, I say quietly. To whom? Detective Martinez. To tell her this was all a misunderstanding, like you said. Pemberton slides his desk phone toward me, his smile returning. Speaker phone, Emma. I want to hear every word. I pick up the handset with trembling fingers, knowing I'm about to either save or damn everyone who trusted me to stop this monster. I dial Martinez's number with Pemberton watching my every move, his finger hovering over the speaker button. The phone rings once, twice. Emma. Thank God you're okay. We're regrouping at. Pemberton hits the speaker button and leans forward. Detective Martinez. This is Richard Pemberton. I believe there's been a significant misunderstanding. The silence on the other end stretches for what feels like an eternity. When Martinez speaks again, her voice is carefully controlled. Mr. Pemberton. I wasn't expecting to speak with you directly. Emma has something she needs to tell you. Don't you, Emma? I stare at the phone, my mouth dry as sand. Every instinct screams at me to tell Martinez everything, the confessions, the murder threats, the network of corruption. But Pemberton's fingers are already typing on his burner phone, probably sending the order that will get my mother killed. Detective Martinez, I managed to say, I think I may have misinterpreted some things. Emma. Her voice sharpens. Are you under duress? Pemberton's eyes narrow dangerously. He holds up his burner phone, showing me a text message already typed, green light on the diner situation. Execute at 3:15. No, I'm fine, I lie. I was upset about my college fund, and I think I jumped to conclusions about Mr. Pemberton's management of it. Emma, listen to me very carefully. Yesterday you provided detailed evidence of systematic fraud. Are you now saying that evidence was fabricated? My heart hammers as I watch Pemberton's finger hover over the send button. One wrong word and my mother dies. I was emotional and confused. The college fund was used for legitimate business expenses, like Mr. Pemberton explained. I realize now that I was wrong to involve the police. Pemberton nods approvingly and moves his finger away from the phone. But then Martinez says something that changes everything. Emma, I need to tell you something important. We arrested Judge William Kowalski at 9 a.m. this morning on federal bribery charges. He's been cooperating fully with our investigation for the past 2 hours. Pemberton's face goes white. The burner phone slips from his fingers and clatters onto the desk. Judge Kowalski provided us with records of every bribe, every fraudulent estate revision, every illegal order he's processed over the past 18 months, Martinez continues. He also gave us the names of 12 other officials in Mr. Pemberton's network, all of whom are now in federal custody. I watch Pemberton's empire crumble in real time as the blood drains from his face. His carefully constructed web of corruption is collapsing, and he knows it. Furthermore, Martinez says, we have Rachel Patterson and her attorney James Holbrook in protective custody. Miguel Vasquez and his grandmother are safe at an undisclosed location. And Emma? We've had a team watching your mother since yesterday. She's perfectly safe. Pemberton lunges for the burner phone, but I'm faster. I grab it and hurl it across the office where it smashes against the same wall as my phone. You stupid bitch, he snarls, all pretense of civility gone. Do you have any idea what you've done? Detective Martinez, I say to the speaker phone, my voice steadying for the first time in days, Richard Pemberton just confessed to murdering Patricia Morrison. He threatened to kill Rachel Patterson, Mrs. Vasquez, and my mother. And he tried to force me to become his partner in a criminal enterprise involving estate fraud, bribery, and murder. We heard everything, Emma. We've been recording this call. Pemberton's face twists with rage as he realizes the trap has snapped shut around him. But cornered predators are the most dangerous, and I'm still trapped in his office with a man who has nothing left to lose. The recording device in my blazer has captured everything, but Pemberton doesn't know that yet. As the reality of his collapsed empire sinks in, I watch his face cycle through disbelief, rage, and something that looks like calculation. He's not finished, not even close. Detective Martinez, he says with forced calm, I'm afraid Emma is having some kind of psychological episode. The stress of college finances has clearly affected her judgment. Mr. Pemberton, we have 17 federal agents surrounding your building and recordings of everything you've said in the past 20 minutes. The game is over. But Pemberton laughs, actually laughs, and pulls out a third phone I didn't know he had. Detective, you're operating under the assumption that Judge Kowalski was my only insurance policy. That's quaint. He speed dials a number, and I hear it ring on speaker. Richard. The voice that answers makes my blood freeze. It's Commissioner Patricia Walsh, head of the entire Chicago Police Department. I've seen her on TV dozens of times. I told you never to call this number unless it was an emergency. It's an emergency, Pat. The Martinez situation needs to disappear immediately. There's a pause. Richard, we discussed this. The federal involvement changes things. I can't just. You can and you will. Unless you want your gambling debts and that unfortunate incident with evidence room B-17 to become public knowledge. Commissioner Walsh's voice turns cold. What do you need? Detective Martinez's team needs to be reassigned immediately. Equipment malfunction with their recording devices. And the building needs to be cleared for a gas leak inspection that will take approximately 6 hours. My heart stops. 6 hours alone with Pemberton while he resolves the situation permanently. Consider it done, Walsh says. But Richard? After this, we're even. All debts cleared. Of course, Pat. Pleasure doing business with you. He hangs up and turns to me with renewed confidence. You see, Emma. I told you, corruption is like a spiderweb. Pull one strand, and you discover just how many others are connected. Through the window, I can see the federal agents suddenly getting into their vehicles. Martinez is arguing with someone on her radio, gesturing frantically toward the building, but within minutes the parking lot is empty again. Now then, Pemberton says, straightening his tie. Where were we before that unfortunate interruption? He walks to his office door and engages 3 different locks I didn't know existed. Electronic, manual, and what looks like a security bar that slides across the frame. You're going to kill me. Eventually, yes. But first, you're going to help me retrieve every piece of evidence you've gathered. Every photograph, every document, every recording device you've hidden. His smile returns, predatory and patient. Because Emma, while Commissioner Walsh bought me 6 hours, I still have a federal investigation to derail and 17 estates to liquidate before I disappear to a country without extradition treaties. He opens his desk drawer again, but this time he pulls out a small black device that looks like a garage door opener. Remote electromagnetic pulse generator. Very handy for destroying electronic devices in a 30-foot radius. He points it toward me. Including any recording equipment you might be carrying. My heart hammers against my ribs as I realize the recording device in my blazer is about to become useless. Worse, without that evidence, it becomes his word against mine, a respected attorney versus a disturbed college student making false accusations. Before I fry your little spy device, he continues, I want you to understand exactly what happens next. First, we're going to visit Mrs. Vasquez together. She's going to sign a revised will that leaves everything to a charity I control. Then Miguel is going to have a tragic accident, young man, probably drugs involved, very sad. He starts counting on his fingers like he's planning a grocery list. Then Rachel Patterson's lawyer in Oregon is going to receive evidence that his client has been embezzling from her mother's estate. She'll be arrested, discredited, and her fraud allegations will disappear. Finally, Detective Martinez will find herself transferred to parking meter enforcement after Internal Affairs discovers her gambling problem and suspicious bank deposits. You have dirt on everyone. 23 years of careful preparation, Emma. I told you, I don't leave things to chance. He raises the EMP device toward me, finger on the trigger. Any last words for your recording device before it becomes scrap metal? Pemberton's finger hovers over the EMP trigger, but something in my expression makes him pause. Maybe it's the way I'm smiling despite everything, or maybe it's because I'm not begging for my life like he expected. You know what I learned from working for you for 18 months, Richard? I pulled a recording device out of my blazer and set it on his desk. You taught me to always have a backup plan. His eyes narrow. What are you talking about? This recording device. It's been streaming everything to a secure server since yesterday morning. Jake, my cousin who works for the state attorney's office, helped me set it up. I lean back in my chair, feeling genuinely calm for the first time in days. Every confession, every threat, every admission of murder you've made in the past hour is already in federal hands. The color drains from Pemberton's face. That's impossible. Live audio feed, automatically uploaded every 30 seconds. Even if you destroy this device, even if Commissioner Walsh bought you 6 hours, the FBI already has recordings of you confessing to Patricia Morrison's murder and threatening to kill 5 more people. I pull out my backup phone, the burner Jake gave me yesterday, and show him the streaming app that's been running this entire time. Want to say hello to the federal agents who are currently listening? Pemberton lunges for the phone, but I'm already speaking into it. Agent Chen, this is Emma Sullivan. Richard Pemberton is about to destroy evidence and attempt murder. He's locked us in his office and has an EMP device. The response comes through the phone speaker immediately. Emma, this is Agent Sarah Chen, FBI Financial Crimes. We have everything we need. SWAT team is breaching the building in 30 seconds. Pemberton stares at the phone like it's a poisonous snake. But Commissioner Walsh. Commissioner Walsh is in federal custody as of 20 minutes ago, Agent Chen's voice continues. Her cooperation with your organization made her a federal co-conspirator. The gas leak story was disinformation to make you think you were safe. The sound of heavy boots echoes through the office building, getting closer. Pemberton looks around his office like a trapped animal, then suddenly smiles, the same predatory expression he's worn throughout this entire nightmare. You think you've won, Emma? Even if they arrest me, I still have one card left to play. He pulls out a final phone and speed dials a number. Patricia. Execute Plan Z immediately. All assets, all targets, everything. But the voice that answers isn't who he expected. Richard, this is FBI Agent Martinez. Patricia Morrison's actual granddaughter, the one you thought you had killed, has been in protective custody for 2 weeks. We faked her death to see how you'd react. Pemberton's face goes completely white. No. No, that's impossible. Patricia Morrison's granddaughter is very much alive, and very eager to testify about how you forged her grandmother's will. Along with Rachel Patterson, Mrs. Vasquez, and 12 other victims you thought you'd silenced. The office door explodes inward as SWAT officers flood the room. Pemberton drops the EMP device and raises his hands, but his eyes are still locked on mine with pure hatred. You have no idea what you've destroyed, he whispers as federal agents zip-tie his wrists. Agent Chin, I say into the burner phone, Richard Pemberton's computer has files showing exactly how much money was stolen from each victim, including my college fund. Everything is documented. 2 hours later, I'm sitting in a federal building watching Agent Chin scroll through Pemberton's seized computer files. The final tally is staggering, $847,000 stolen from 43 elderly clients across 5 years, plus embezzlement from 4 young employees including myself. Emma, Agent Chin says, looking up from the screen, we're prepared to offer full restitution to all victims from seized assets. That includes your college fund plus accrued interest. How much? $28,400. Enough for your sophomore year and then some. I lean back in the federal-issued chair, exhausted but oddly at peace. And the other victims? Every stolen dollar will be returned to victims or their families. Mrs. Vasquez will get her $23,000 back. Rachel Patterson's family will receive the $18,000 that was stolen from her mother's estate. Agent Chin closes the laptop. Richard Pemberton is looking at 47 federal felony charges. With the evidence you helped gather, he'll die in prison. As I walk out of the federal building that evening, my phone buzzes with a text from Northwestern's financial aid office, tuition payment received. Welcome back for sophomore year, Emma. We're proud to have you as a student. Malicious compliance at its finest. Pemberton taught me to document everything, research thoroughly, and always have evidence to back up my claims. I just used his own lessons to destroy him completely.